Hello,
Hello.
I'm here with Kathy Tabb. I have asked her if she would kindly do us all the favor of talking to us a little bit about life because Kathy is living right in the middle of it. I often hear comments, questions, complaints about how to live in the world, and I have a very, very busy life. Well, Kathy has a child and a husband to raise and runs a yoga studio and has many, many teachers working with her and many students. And she tries as best she can to keep the focus of her yoga studio in alignment with the traditional real goals of yoga, and runs a teacher training program and is a very, 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 very busy life. So I just asked her if she would kindly just talk to us and just, tell some stories and what's it like and all that. So, okay, Kathy?
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
Way.
Oh, so now it's my turn already?
Yeah, well, it's your show.
Okay. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for all those compliments. And yeah, life is busy, and somehow I try to stay sane in all of it. And how do I do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that I feel blessed that I did get to spend enough time with you and go to Rishikesh and the ashram and do all of that before raising my husband and my kid. I do feel I got a little bit of a head start, though I know there are women who do it right in the thick of it. But I did have an established practice when I brought all the rest of the chaos in. So yeah, that might help a little bit.
A good grounding.
Yeah, a good grounded.
What year was that? Do you recall what year was that?
Mm-hmm. I went in 2008, and I can say that I became addicted to meditation, addicted to what I knew was the truth and the practice, enough to not lose it. Now, I'm not going to say it's always as strong and that I always get my practices in as a mom, but I know what I believe, and I know that it's always there. And I think maybe I was given that gift to get that stable base. And
what is it that you believe and that is always there? You just said it's always there. What's always there?
The strive to the question mark, the strive to constantly wake up more in my life.
She means, I think, this question.
This is my favorite chart. I will use this in teacher training all the time. The question mark. I believe it's there, and I know it's there, and I had a great conversation with you once when my little guy was a baby, and I learned what it was to start yelling at a baby, or a kid, and you fall asleep. You're like, you fell asleep, you wake up, you fall asleep, you wake up, and that helped me to be like, okay, when I forget that he's Brahman, when I forget he's the question mark, then I kind of fall asleep, and then we all wake up again, and I remember he's spirit and I'm spirit, and it's just kind of a game. I'm doing my best.
That's a nice way to say it, that it's all a big game.
Yeah. And I
wake up.
Yeah, and I get caught up sometimes and forget, and sometimes I forget for a little bit longer than I like, and then I remember to wake up again, even just for a second.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you tell everybody about how you ended up with a yoga studio and what that's been like for you?
I love that yoga studio. I have to say I'm definitely attached to it, but it's such a process. I mean, when I first came to Navarre, I was not super happy, and I remember I'd come visit you, and you'd say, stop grumbling and go create a community. If you don't like it, fix it. And it's taken many years, right? I've been playing there since 2006, and we had like 2 of us teaching, and now there's this center where people are doing it whether I'm there or not. They're doing their massage, they're healing, they're teaching yoga, and I just try to kind of keep the foundation. I know as a studio owner, maybe my only extra role is that I know what I know, and I know that the question mark is our goal. And even if everyone in that studio doesn't quite know that yet, you know what I mean, whether it's a student or a teacher, I'm holding that space, and everybody in there is heading in that direction, some more consciously than others.
That's a beautiful concept that you just said. You're holding the space. You are aware of that center of consciousness, and then other people gradually in their own time get to come along.
And that might be one of the only things I'm doing in that studio anymore, but I'm doing that.
But that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. And I honestly don't think, unless I had met you and the lineage and traveled to India, that that might not have been what I'm doing. I'm so thankful that I am, because many studios some do that, but many are just a business. And it is a business, and I want to make money and stay open, but that's the underlying belief, and it has to be there for me to own it.
Cool.
Yeah, so I feel very, very lucky that I got past just what I was learning in terms of the asana world and got to.
And do you feel like you have been able to somewhat pass on the spirit of what you're saying to at least some of the teachers who work at the studio?
Yes, absolutely. I think that I've been able to pass it along, and some take it and go in their own direction. A few take it and go in my direction. You know, beautiful Jamie, who I sometimes am envious because I spend so much time with you. She came out of there. So all the teachers are beautiful, and they're in their own way following the path. And I think what I try to do is just keep reminding everybody of where we're going. I try. And I think in the teacher training, I offer to every student that comes in. You were a part of 2 of them. I did one of them on my own, practicing all of that. And some are more ready than others. And some, you know, we'll put it away and hopefully pull it out one day. And some were ready to go with it.
I noticed I drove by there yesterday coming back from Gulf Breeze. And I think I saw a sign out there that another teacher training is starting.
We are going to have another one, and I'm going to play a bit of a role in it, but there's another beautiful teacher, Melissa, and she's going to take it. And thankfully, we're still using your Yoga Sutra text. We're still using Science of Breath. She's very much on board with so many of the similar teachings that I believe in. So I think we're going to do this next one well. Again, it's not just asana. It's saying, hey, I use a circle chart in almost every class. So hopefully we'll be breaking that out a lot in the training.
Good. You know, I was talking with a yoga teacher training program person and about some ideas. And she actually brought up the idea, and I mentioned it to you just as food for thought. Mm-hmm. We now have 10 online Udemy courses.
Yeah.
And maybe what you might want to consider is have your new students choose 1 or 2 that you think is appropriate for them to do. Hopefully they're all pretty straightforward, and they can go through that Udemy course. It's independent, self-study. And
well, it's funny, yeah, that you bring that up, because in all 3 trainings, they've had to do the yoga's meditation. They've all had to complete that as part of their training. So we've used that one. We've used that in every training. That's one of the first assignments. They have to go on Udemy and do your yoga's meditation. But again, when I started that first training, you only had a couple programs. Now you have so many. I may go back with Melissa and pick which ones we want to do. I've always just picked that one.
Good idea, because there's 10 of them.
Yeah. So I've always used that one.
Basic meditation one is on Om Mantra, which has a lot of activity about the circle chart. But if you take a look at it, you can decide. Just food for thought.
I've had students thank me so much for taking that course. They'll say that getting to take that course really helps open their eyes because they take it early on. So I've had compliments on that, and they've done it all 3 trainings.
Cool. You know, the way that Udemy technology works, I don't know if you've gotten there and noticed this, on their curriculum list, when you finish it, when you finish the curriculum list, it shows you a little horizontal bar graph, and on the right hand of the bar graph, what shows up is a little trophy thing.
Yeah. Well, they've sent me their certificate so that I know they do it.
Well, that's what I was saying. This gives you the certificate. So you can ask them to go through it. Yep. And then if they send you a photocopy of the certificate, then you, as the teacher training program teacher supervisor, you know that in fact they've done it. Yep.
They had to do that for me with the yoga's meditation course.
Yeah, good. Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were doing that.
I did. Sorry, I've done it in all 3. It's my favorite thing to give them right in the beginning.
a couple of the others you might enjoy doing. The
Yeah.
one on basic meditation really is an introduction,
Yeah.
and it's pretty straightforward.
And that's actually really good advice, picking that one, because one thing I do with the students the very first weekend is I have them create their own sadhana. And I know they have busy lives, so we sit and we talk about, well, do you have time in the morning, or do you have time before you go to bed, or where? And then I work individually with each of them, even if they're only sitting in meditation for 5 minutes because they've never meditated before. Everyone is creating their own individual sadhana. And then as we learn a different pranayama, we talked about adding it. Just eat, basic, alternate nostril things for them, diaphragmatic breathing, but they each create their own personal sadhana. And if they took that course, that would help them a little bit with the meditation, because that's a lot of the students are, even though they're doing asana, they're new to meditation. They haven't meditated before.
Yeah, and if for them in going these, if you will encourage them, one of the things that I've noticed that wonderful people sometimes turn into a problem is they think of it like it's a university class and I have to study hard and it's going to be difficult, whereas benefit comes by just leisurely going through the presentations and not working at it. And we did some arithmetic a few days ago. You take all 10 courses, the total amount of hours of presentation is just less than 50 hours. Well, that's approximately how much time you put in a classroom with one class in university for a semester.
Yeah.
It's only that amount. And so if one will go through it and not work so darn hard with it and make it a big project, then it's easier to go through.
Yeah.
And then each person will absorb whatever she or he is able to absorb in that moment.
Right.
That's exciting that you're doing that.
Yeah, good advice.
Tell me what it's like to be a mom,
a
yogi.
I don't know that I have that one figured out at all. So
maybe a little bit.
I don't know, maybe a little bit. I know that it's exciting in the mornings when I get to beat him awake and I sit in meditation. This is a piece where the back of my head goes, oh, wake up at 4 a.m., wake up at 4 to do your practices. But moms need their sleep. They do need their sleep. So I get up at 6 to meditate. And if he wakes up with me, a lot of times I'll be sitting in meditation. I'll hear thump, 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 thump. And he comes and he sits in my lap and he might give me a second. At least he's seeing that. And the days he doesn't wake up, it's like exciting. I get to do my practices. So I'm still trying. But another thing you said once, I remember you said to someone, well, you always go to bed. Even if you go to bed at 2 a.m., you go to bed, right? Which I don't go to bed at 2 a.m. But I always meditate before bed, even if it's in the bed or right beside the bed, because at some point he's asleep, everybody's going to bed. So I can at least do it once a day. But I definitely wrestled with my attachment to my morning practice and having, like, at one point when he'd wake up, I get mad. I'd be like, oh, why are you waking up? But I've had to surrender to he's the kid. He wakes up, he sits in my lap, and then we get up, and I'm definitely better at that, at being mom and yogi, because I used to get mad, like, go back to bed so I can do my practice. They don't listen. When they're awake, they're awake. So I'm trying to figure that part out. So, being a mom and a yogi at the same time. I wish I never lost my temper, but that is not what happened. So.
But this is what minds do. They get angry. They get frustrated.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that we spend time learning the core principles of traditional yoga, because it outlines for us, we come to see, as you well know, that these things are predictable and there's nothing bad or wrong about me because I got angry today. All it means is that I have an attachment, I have an expectation that was not fulfilled.
Yep.
And there's a predictable emotional response. No big deal.
Yep. So that happened. I'll text Matt and be like, he woke up again. I couldn't meditate. But I've let go of a lot of that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the things you want to think about doing, just food for your thought. I'll be a troublemaker here.
Okay.
You said I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. Maybe over coming weeks and months, if you make a little bullet point checklist of ideas you come up with, tell me, we'll get on here again and let that be a nice gift to some of the other people that listen in on what we're doing. And if you come up with, I don't know what it is, I'm not meaning like an assignment, if you come up with a bullet point list of 5 or 10 principles that you think this is what's helping me as a yogi mom to be able to do this. And I have, 7 principles here that I want to share with you.
I'll tell you one thing that's really helped once he started school and had a schedule is yoga nidra before you pick him up. Even if it's just for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. When I was so busy at the studio and in Navarre at 1:30 or 2 every day, I had to do yoga nidra for 20, 25 minutes.
Cool.
It would heal my body. I would have so much more energy after that, and just to go into that quiet state.
Good. There's one right there.
And I got to where I didn't even need to use I love your CD, and I would use it, but I didn't even have to. I could just go lay down and kind of drop in.
That's the idea. The idea of that recorded practice is not to create dependency on a stupid CD.
Well, I know, but I think that's what saved me, being in school, having the studio, having the kid. I think yoga nidra in the afternoon, just 20 minutes.
Yep, wonderful. And by the way, you may not have caught it yet because it was only about a week ago. We just published the Yoga Nidra course.
And that I'm excited to look at. I'm very excited to look at that one. I haven't yet.
Yeah, and so that's a good example that anybody that you want to have look through it, ask them, don't turn it into work.
Right.
We Matri and I have worked hard. She as the director, editor, she's the boss when we do these, and I'm the talent in front of the camera. But we play well together, and we're trying very hard to communicate this stuff in a way that's lighthearted, and playful. And so that's a good example. The Yoga Nidra course is a good example of one could just go through it and watch it in the leisure. I've forgotten, I think it's about 5 hours. And 5 hours is a Saturday afternoon.
Yep.
Leisurely. So anyway, what else can you tell us about being a yogini and how you do all this stuff that you're doing? Here, I'm going to show this up here just so this is what I wrote about. Conversation with you about how you stay focused on the highest goals of yoga in the midst of being wife, mother of a small child, teacher, yoga studio owner, and running a yoga teacher training program. We've already talked about all of that. I didn't hear anything about the wife part.
Oh, that might be the hardest part. No, I'm kidding. I just do my best. I don't know if you ask Matt, he might laugh and say, "What yogi?" I think the spouse might be the hardest one, especially once you have a kid. We are better with him, and we get whatever's left over. But I just try to remember. Constantly going back to remembering. That helps.
Remembering this.
Yeah, and remembering how much I love the practices, and even if I'm in the middle of not feeling much like I'm doing them, that they are there. And
that at the center of him is this consciousness.
Yeah. And I think sometimes in his own way he gets it as well as I do. I know he's not a daily meditator, but he's very he's got his light.
So you two have a compatibility with this.
We do.
He's okay with your life and what you're doing.
Yep.
And is kind of in alignment with it.
Yeah. And he helps me. He helps so much with the business and with wanting to support it and fixing the building and taking care of the building and doing the things that he knows how to do to keep it going. So because he supports what is happening with all those women in the building. There are men, but the majority is still a lot of women in there. And,
well, they're just more awake than the guys.
Yeah, there are a few awake guys in there.
And I can remember when you were getting that building and opening that studio when you moved from the other place, all of that physical construction work that needed to be done, and he was right there to pitch in and help with it.
Yeah, and that's where he's very present. He does what he needs to do. He's got his purpose, and he does it.
Yeah, I thought that was very nice of him. That was a very good sign of a solid relationship.
He's a pretty nice guy. And he's also a great father, and he supports me. Taking the time I need. We try to say, you need time to go, or I need time to go.
Help
each other. So,
all right. What else would you add here? Anything else you would add here on this?
I just feel pretty lucky to have stumbled upon you and Navarre and lineage. I think the lineage learning to meditate and to understand that circle chart has helped my mind. I'm not sure I would have been a good mother and a wife. I'm glad that all came first because it cleared out a lot of cobwebs upstairs.
Good, but you feel like life is working out.
Life is definitely working out. Life is working out well. And I forget and grumble and complain sometimes, but life is very working out. Wonderful.
Okie dokie. So you have anything else to add? If not, maybe we can kind of sort of come to a close here. And if you ponder this thing, Kathy, on any of these things, if you want to do this again, I hope you do sometime, and we'll come on again and leave a message, and people can enjoy the message, and you can share it with your students at the studio if you want.
I think the last thing, because the only thing I thought about before this talk was how even if people come to yoga just through asana, that's how I started. I mean, when I was in my early 20s, before meeting you, all I wanted to do was do Bikrams and work out and feel better, you know, and it took being in my body in that way to get started. So I try not to have any judgment. If a person just wants to do asana and that's where they're at, like, that's a start. And so I think that's another reason for the studio and trying to be accepting of where anybody is. And that's where I came from. And so,
as the saying goes, meet people where they are.
Right. And so if they walk into that place, they just need a workout. Hey, that's great. We'll see what happens later.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the only piece I thought about ahead of time of when you asked me to do this.
Okay, that's a very nice thought. Very nice thought. Let them come and feel good.
Yeah. It'll lead to the next thing, right?
Yeah. So thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Swami Jay.
It's so nice. It has been so nice for years to watch you learn and practice and live and grow and do selfless service. I know you have to run the place, whether you call it a business, whatever you call it. The fact of the matter is you have to have more coming in than is going out, or you have to close the doors.
We want to stay open, so thank you. Thank you for all your help over the years.
Okay, Matesh is with us and says hello.
Okay, hi.
And Nellie is with us. Nellie is in Holland. You may have met Nellie sometime when she was. I think you probably have.
Yeah.
So thank you again.
Thank you. I've loved watching these. These have been fun to watch too. So bring some more people on.
Now you get to watch yourself.
Oh yes. Great.
And don't be a critic.
Okay, I won't.
Oh, don't be a critic. Enjoy what you're doing and give us some thought. We'll do it again.
Thank you.
Wow. Here's Mir saying, keep it up, Kathy.
There we go. I will.
There you go. All righty.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you for playing. Thank you for playing.
You have safe travel.
I hope that I can travel. I hope that we can avoid the hurricane.
I know. I hope so for you.
We shall see.
Yeah. Okay.
All righty.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Shanti. Namaste.
Shanti and all that good sweet
all that stuff.
Bye-bye.
Bye.